We all know by now how terrible living in the Souls universe has to be. I mean, all the worlds have a lot of random monsters roaming around. Imagine taking a good walk one day only to see this thing spawn right in front of you. But the horrifying monsters aren't the worst part. Having to worry about an undead curse, becoming a mindless hollow, transforming into a hideous beast, succumbing to dragon rot, just because an immortal guy keeps dying, living in a world where the literal order of everything has been shattered, and having to know that the world that you live in is in a non-ending cycle, and the chances of things actually getting better is slim. All of these make each Soulsborne world dark places to live in. However, I was thinking to myself recently and something crossed my mind. Out of all the Soulsborne worlds, which would be the safest to live in? Like, let's say you had to choose one to live in for a short while in order to get $1,000,000, which would you choose? No, I'm gonna go over the main worlds of every Souls game, starting with the most dangerous to the least to see which is the safest. If you like content like this, then be sure to like and subscribe, only if you want to do so, but without wasting any more of your time, let's start with the most dangerous world. Lordran from Dark Souls is an awful place to live for many reasons, and it's hard to imagine anyone surviving there for long. The first problem is the curse of the undead, which slowly turns people into hollowed, mindless shells. Once you become undead, you can't die permanently. Instead, you keep coming back to life every time you're killed. Over time, you lose your memories and sense of self until you're nothing more than a hollow creature. This endless cycle of death and rebirth means that no matter what, you're stuck in a nightmare where you lose everything, including your humanity. Another reason why Lordran is terrible is because the world itself is falling apart. The Age of Fire, which once gave life and power to the kingdom, is dying, and the world is falling into darkness. The gods who once ruled over either lost their minds or disappeared, leaving the world in chaos. Gwyn gave up everything to keep the fire going, but now he's a broken hollow shell of his former self. There's no real leadership or help for the ordinary people left in Lordran, so everyone is on their own. Gwendolyn is technically the only decent ruler left, but let's be honest, he's not ruling over much, as Anor Londo in Dark Souls 1 is basically empty. The places in Lordran are also extremely dangerous. Almost every area is filled with enemies or environments that could kill you. Blighttown is a poisonous swamp full of deadly creatures and crumbling pathways. The New Londo ruins are flooded and haunted by ghosts that can only be fought with special cursed weapons. The Tomb of the Giants is completely dark and giant skeletons roam the area, making it impossible to survive for long without being attacked. Even Anor Londo, once a beautiful city of the gods, is now a mostly empty shell full of monsters. No matter where you go in Lordran, there's always something trying to kill you or some environmental danger that makes survival almost impossible. Another big problem in Lordran is the threat of the Abyss, a force that spreads and destroys everything it touches. In places like Ulasil, the Abyss turned this entire town into a twisted nightmare version of itself. The Abyss doesn't just kill, it also drives people mad, corrupting them until they become something monstrous. Anyone living near the Abyss would have to constantly fear losing not just their lives, but also their mind. Finally, Lordran, or should I say the Dark Souls world in general, is cursed with the endless cycle of linking the fire. Every time someone links the first flame, it only delays the inevitable decline of the world. The fire fades no matter what, and each new cycle just brings more decay. There's no way to escape this fate unless you usher in the new age of dark by refusing to link the flame. But no one knows if that's really the better solution. So anyone living in Lordran would know that they're stuck in a world that's doomed to fall into darkness no matter what anyone does. All of this makes Lordran the worst place to live in. It's just constant suffering and pain. The Lands Between is a large and chaotic world filled with dangers and conflicts. The main problem here is that the Elden Ring, a powerful force that held the world together, has been shattered. This has led to a breakdown of order, and various demigods are now fighting to regain control. Ordinary people find themselves caught in the middle of this chaos, and safety is hard to come by. In the Lands Between, there are areas that are completely overrun by scarlet rot, a deadly disease that corrupts the land. Places like Caelid are filled with this rot, making them uninhabitable. This disease not only destroys the environment, but also affects those who come into contact with it. There's also the threat of the Frenzied Flame, a force that drives people to madness and violence. This adds to the overall atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. You also have creatures like ghouls, dragons, mutated tree spirits, and many more just roaming around freely. Despite these challenges, some regions of the lands between like Limgrave offer a small chance of survival. However, even in these areas you must remain vigilant as, again, you have some weird creatures roaming around. While there might be some peace, the constant monstrous threats makes life incredibly difficult. Plus, there are no strong leaders to help guide the people, which means every day is just, chaotic. And no, Godric is not a strong leader. He isn't even a good one. Unlike Lordran, where decay is slow and unchanging, the lands between still have the potential for something better, as things might improve if various factions band together to help one another. However, the constant fighting and lack of stability means that living here is a struggle. The dangers are unpredictable and hope feels distant from most inhabitants. Overall, the lands between are a challenging place to live. The chaotic environment, disease, and constant fighting makes it a perilous world. While it offers some areas that might feel safer, the underlying tension and threat of danger mean that survival is a daily battle. It's definitely not a peaceful existence, but hey, at least a couple endings show that things can change for the better. Drangleic is a kingdom that has been torn apart by the curse of the undead. This curse affects many of its inhabitants, turning them into hollowed beings who have lost their sense of self. The once great kingdom is now filled with grumbling buildings and wandering souls, making it a somber place to live. The feeling of despair is heavy as those who remain struggle against the inevitable fate of becoming hollow themselves. The landscape of Drangleic is filled with danger. You have undead creatures roaming around the land. King Vendrick and Nashandra are just two examples of rulers who have fallen from grace, leaving the kingdom in disarray. The presence of the undead curse is a constant reminder that hope is hard to find and the world is just, well, utter shit. While there are brief moments of calm in places like Majula, the overall atmosphere is one of hopelessness. The kingdom feels haunted by its past, which adds an eerie feeling to the already bleak environment. However, despite this, compared to the lands between, Drangleic offers a different kind of challenge. The dangers are more personal, with the undead curse affecting individuals rather than entire regions. However, the lack of hope and the constant threat of hollowing makes living here a difficult experience. Many residents live in fear of losing themselves completely, and the hope of a brighter future feels far away. In summary, Drangleic is a harsh place to live. The undead curse and the constant threat of danger weigh heavily on the minds of its inhabitants. While there may be moments of peace and calm, the feeling of hopelessness is pervasive. The haunting history of the kingdom serves as a constant reminder of what has been lost, making it a challenging environment for anyone trying to survive. Lothric is a kingdom that is falling apart under the weight of its own history. The Age of Fire is coming to an end and the darkness that follows is creeping into every corner of the land. The people here face the threat of becoming hollow, just like in Drangleic. While Lothric still has some structure and order, it's clear that this kingdom is in decline, and the last sense of active rulership that this place has is, well, this man, so yeah, that's not good. The undead curse is bad in Lothric, affecting many of its residents. Knights who were once noble defenders of the kingdom now wander the land as hollowed shells. This transformation is a constant reminder of the fate that awaits everyone. The atmosphere is filled with dread as people live in fear of losing their humanity. Despite the challenges, Lothric offers moments of tranquility. Places like Firelink Shrine offer a brief moment of peace from all the chaos. However, the sense of decay is overwhelming, and the knowledge that the Age of Fire is fading makes life here feel uncertain. There is a lingering hope that the fire can be rekindled, but that hope is fragile. Compared to Drangleic, Lothric offers a more organized society. The presence of leaders and strong characters gives the inhabitants a sense of purpose, even if it's fading. And yeah, sure, Prince Lothric doesn't want to do anything for his kingdom, but the fact that he's still there means that there still might be hope. And yeah, Pontiff Sullivan, well, he's a ruler I guess, but he's a dickhead, so I'm not even gonna count him. However, the ongoing conflict and the threat of the undead curse makes life difficult. It's a place where danger is always lurking. In conclusion, Lothric is a kingdom filled with challenges. The undead curse, ongoing battles, and decaying society create a tense atmosphere. While there are moments of beauty and hope, the overwhelming sense of danger makes it hard to see Lothric as a truly livable place. But it's at least more livable compared to the other Soulsborne worlds I've mentioned. Bolitar is a land that has been consumed by a demonic invasion. The Old One, a powerful being, has brought darkness and despair to the kingdom. The once thriving nation is now filled with demons that feast on the souls of the living. The atmosphere is grim, and the sense of danger is ever present. The invasion has driven many inhabitants mad, and the streets are filled with horrors. Living in Bolitar means constantly facing the threat of demons, each region presenting its own unique challenges, from the Bolitarian Palace to the horrifying Tower of Latria that looks like it's straight out of a cosmic horror film. The dangers are real and the chance of survival is slim. Despite the overwhelming dangers, there are moments of hope in Bolitaria. The idea that the demons can be defeated and the kingdom can be restored provides some hope in the otherwise dark world. There are heroes and warriors who rise up to challenge the demons, creating a sense of purpose for those still fighting for their land. In comparison to Giant Lake and Lothric, Bolitaria has a more focused threat. The danger is clear and the goal is straightforward: defeat the demons and reclaim the kingdom. However, the overwhelming presence of evil makes it a difficult place to live in. In summary, Bolitar is a harsh and unforgiving place. The demonic invasion creates a constant struggle for survival, and the threat of losing everything is ever present. However, the fact that the demons can be defeated and the lack of an undead curse means there is no horrifying cycle, which makes the ending of the game more hopeful as we can eradicate all the demons, making the world safe to live in. Yrum is a gothic city filled with horrors and dark secrets. The city seems normal most times, but once in a while at nights it transforms into a nightmare. You see, there are times where a terrifying beast comes out in the streets, and residents must either fight back or become victims. The fear of turning into a beast yourself is a constant worry, making life in Yrum a struggle for survival. The Healing Church also plays a significant role in the city's troubles. While it offers treatments for various ailments, the church's obsession with blood leads to addiction and madness. Many people become trapped in a cycle of violence, losing their humanity as they pursue power through blood, as it is also the main reason why people transform into beasts in the first place. Also, there are aliens known as Great Ones that exist within the Bloodborne universe. Some of them are able to create their own pocket dimensions to trap people. While this isn't a constant threat, as it only happens to few people, the fact that something like this exists is horrifying. However, despite the horrors of Yrum, there are moments of community and hope. During the daytime, the streets may be filled with residents trying to go about their lives, but the threat of the occasional beast outbreak keeps everyone on edge. There are also hints of camaraderie among hunters who join forces to face the nightmarish beasts. In summary, Yrum is a terrifying place to live. The threat of beasts and madness looms over every resident. However, despite this, beast outbreaks seem to be the main issue people of Yrum have. The reason why I bring this up is because the beast outbreak isn't something that happens every day, but occasionally, as they refer to hunting beasts as the night of the hunt. This also means that unlike the other inhabitants of the other Souls games, the people here aren't in a constant state of survival. There's also no undead curse to worry about. The only super terrible fates I can think of is getting killed or turning into a beast during an outbreak, or getting trapped inside of a nightmare or a dream. But in order to get trapped, you had to be, you had to done something crazy for that to happen. So yeah, the world of Bloodborne is not as bad as the other Souls worlds. Ashna stands out as the most livable world in the Soulsborne series despite its challenges. The land is in the middle of a civil war, but it still has a functioning society and clear leadership under Ashna and Genichiro. While the ongoing conflict creates a sense of instability, the presence of a structured government means that there is a chance of stability and order. The people of Ashna have a sense of identity and purpose, which is a stark contrast to the other worlds filled with decay and chaos. However, life in Ashna is not without its dangers. The civil war leads to clashes between the Ashna clan and invading forces. These conflicts can make everyday life uncertain, especially for those caught in the crossfire. The presence of deadly supernatural beings and creatures also poses a threat, even though they aren't as abundant compared to the ones in other Soulsborne worlds. Despite these dangers, the potential for peace and the chance to rebuild makes Ashna a more appealing option than the other worlds. The clear sense of direction under actual active leadership offers a hope for a better future, something that is lacking in places like Lordran or the lands between. In comparison to the other worlds, Ashna's structured society provides a more balanced living environment. While there are supernatural threats roaming around, the possibility of stability and renewal allows its inhabitants to maintain a sense of hope. So yeah, despite Ashna being in conflict at the moment, it has the most hope compared to the other Souls worlds. Maybe except Yrum, as they are pretty much tied with each other. Honestly, the number one spot was between Yrum or Ashna, but I don't know, I just went with Ashna because it's slightly prettier, I guess. That was it for the video. If you disagreed with anything here, then please leave a comment and state which world you think is the most and least dangerous. Also, before I go, I want to thank my Patreon members, Mac, Daniel Scotland, and Jabroni Jones, and I also want to thank you guys for watching this video. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good one.